G'day, friends and fans, and welcome. I'm the author, David Applegate, author of the books The Boyhood of Cade, Power Games, Into the Elsebound, and The Erotic Terrors from the Empire. Part 1 is out now. Part 2 is coming soon. I have it with the editors. I swear, I really do have it being edited right now. I know last year it took me a few months to get the first one out. But today, taking a break and going to speak with, how do you say that? James
Raquepau,
author of the Destiny Cycle series. So we'll get things started. James, please introduce yourself to the audience.
Sure. James Raquepau, author of Destiny Cycle. It's a 5th century Celtic Irish epic fantasy adventure. And I've been at it for a really long time, but then took a break because I was working in IT, and now I'm retired, so I'm full-time writing. So I'm now on book 4. So of the cycle.
Yeah, and I believe you planned it out for a 5-book series.
Yeah, so I'm currently. So I did. I guess it's over here. Stone of Destiny, Blades of Destiny, and Stone of Destiny. They actually started out as one book, and it was in the late 90s. I finished it and put it aside. It wasn't very good. I wasn't happy with it. Went back to working, raising kids, all that other stuff. When I retired, I turned the one book into 2 books, and then went and found an editor. Turned out he was a really crappy editor, which happens, right? So
Often.
Then I found another editor, which was more of a developmental editor. I learned the difference between all of the different types.
Yes.
And then they had me do a lot of rewrites because I did a lot of what they call head hopping, where you're not in the point of view of the character that is the lead character of that point of view. And so lots of rework. I mean, that was like a learning experience. When I wrote in the 90s, that was like I had a prof actually in the 80s. I got a creative writing degree, and in the 80s they didn't bring up this POV thing. When they were teaching you how to write. There wasn't like heavy reliance on point of view, and so now there is.
Yeah, the art of writing started
like
this.
I mean, that's what started.
Yeah, the art of writing, the probably the same textbook you had, although it's been published under different names, was I think about an inch thick when I did a writing course. My mum recently looked at it to get the updated edition, and it's exploded in price, right?
Nice.
It's like $299 now, and it's like an encyclopedia.
Gosh. Well, I spent
point of view.
Go ahead.
With point of view, don't forget Game of Thrones was written from the point of view. Each chapter is written from the point of view of the character in that chapter, not the point of view of the observer. You're actually the TV show changes slightly.
Right.
So that the point of view is always from the observer.
Yes, because the character themselves cannot be
observer.
They cannot be an observer. They're the character, and they can't, like, someone else can't.
Yeah, they
can't chime in unless their dialogue, right? So it's all about turning your narrative into dialogue. When you want to inject another character's opinion of something, they gotta say it.
Yeah.
It was brutal. It was bad all over the place.
I drove my editor mad. They say,
yeah. So by the time I finished Stone of Destiny, there's the cover for you mad crazy people. So first cover, second cover,
second cover.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I want to talk about covers a little bit more in a bit because the artwork is from my illustrator in Ukraine, of all places. We'll talk about that in a minute, but we'll finish on the point of view. So they got me straightened out on the point of view, and now I'm not really bad at it anymore. But I still had, I had to go back and rework the book yet again because
Yeah.
in Heart of Destiny, which is
Yeah.
all right, in Heart of Destiny, I changed the way I tend to write long chapters, and I do scene swaps with some special characters.
Yeah.
They're Irish Celtic knots as I
Ah,
put scenes,
that's,
and so
yeah.
I put the name of the character who the point of view is going to be for that scene
Yeah.
in between every one of the scene shifts. And so that was in Heart of Destiny, but not in Blades or Stone. So I had to go back and rework all that. So that's why I'm on Revised Edition 3 for Stone and Revised Edition 2 for Blades, and 2 for Stone of Destiny. And then they both came out in July, at the beginning of
Yeah.
July, and then middle of July, I was able to release Heart of Destiny. So like all three of them were just it was a mad, crazy dash with my editors.
Yeah.
Yeah, through the end of June. So it was nuts. It was nuts. So
I
um,
can I can relate because one, I have a character who is demonically possessed, so he's got a voice in his head, and that drove for some reason that concept drove the editors crazy,
yeah,
and because in the first book they didn't catch on, and a lot of people didn't catch on that he's talking to himself
yeah.
and answering
Interesting.
himself.
Speaking of editors, so I get to Heart of Destiny, um,
Yeah,
and I think I'm all done. And so I have the um, the developmental editor, Holly, and then I
mm,
have this other editor who's supposed to be the line editor. And the problem with that was she wanted to be more of a developmental editor on top of Holly, and then she
yeah,
was super negative. And so like I got through all of her comments, and I just had to call up to Holly and say, I just can't do this with her, with the second line
yeah,
there. I won't mention her name. And she says that's okay. This is like when you find a really good developmental editor, and she knows that the line editor is not working for you. What she does is she finds you
yeah.
another line
Usually,
editor in her stable, right? So Holly found another line editor, and Sigrid was just fabulous. And we got through it, and we fixed everything they thought was wrong, and then we got Heart of Destiny released in July. So it's just if you're an author, don't think that you don't need an editor, because you do. You really
the
do.
problem with editors is there's a pecking order. You
Yes.
usually have to find one, and they will say, yeah, well, these days it's marketing and editing service, and usually that is a uh, editor who will do the everything from the alpha to the beta. So that's
I know.
that
I
is
do. I would not advise that.
no, but if you know them and you get to know them, right, and they get to know your work, you'll get. See, here's the problem with a lot of editors. So many just load it up into ProWriter or Grammarly or Hemingway. There's a lot of
Yeah,
bad faith actors out there, and
yeah.
they won't give you any
I got that on
notes.
my first one. I had to
Yeah,
fire my first
I'm
one.
sure you exactly happened to so many people. Here's the thing: if your
And that was
editor,
my first editor. It wasn't like he wasn't.
yeah,
He was unknown. I
yeah,
found him on Reezy. and it was
Same.
terrible. I mean,
Yeah.
just what do you do?
It's the problem. It's the same on Fiverr. They get you to rate them as soon as you pay them, as soon as they've done their first pass, and then once they're paid, they're no longer incentivized to do their best work.
Yeah. Anyway, so I love Holly and her team.
Yeah,
Evil Eye,
I'm just
Evil Eye
saying,
editing.
if you want a good editor,
I'll
you
give
got
her a
to
plug.
ask around. That's my point.
Yeah, you
Ask
gotta
a
ask
few people
around.
around, because you also got to find out that most editors are, especially the good ones, are going to be busy.
Yeah. I know.
But they'll at least tell you, no, don't go with that guy. He'll just do a cut and paste to the
Yeah.
but usually how you can tell a bad editor is they give you no notes. Okay, all
Yeah.
they do is a spell check. Okay,
Yeah,
so
no.
that's
They
red
Holly
flag.
does. She's not actually what I love about her. She says, "I'm not really good at the nitpicking stuff. I can't
Yeah,
find all that little detail stuff. That's what I have line editors for. And that's what I
yeah.
have like proofread. I can't do that myself. So
Line
this
editor,
isn't a healthy
proofreader,
thing.
exactly.
You admit that.
Yeah,
That's great. Hmm?
yeah. But with development, the first thing you do, if they can't tell you the character's motivations, they're not a
No.
developmental editor.
Yeah.
They
No.
gotta
I
be
know.
able to tell you your characters and their motivations,
Yeah. The funny thing
even if
was,
they're
is
bland.
the funny thing was, is that the first line editor on Heart of Destiny, she did fine on Blades and Stone, but
Yeah,
when she got to Heart of Destiny, she just didn't like how I was portraying Brianna, and Brianna's my lead heroine character. We'll talk about that in a minute.
yeah,
But she didn't give me any like sort of positive, like, well, you should be thinking about her not being so angry, and this is how I might approach that. Um,
Excuse me, Celtic woman
and
not
so
angry. When did
the
this
second
happen?
line editor solved it all. But anyways,
Yeah,
so
but I'm just
we can put
saying,
editors. We
Celtic
can put
woman.
editors to bed. That's okay. So I'm gonna like inject the next question, which is,
Yeah,
how the hell did you find that cover artist to do
yes,
that kind of cover? And
yeah.
the cover art was just fabulous. And they always ask me like, well, how did she come up with that? And basically, I gave her two scenes, and I said, "You read this part of it." And she's not a native speaker, right? So she speaks Ukrainian, obviously. And so I said, "Read this scene, and then read this scene. Which one do you think you want to do? Which would you do?" And she goes, "Well, I think this scene. This is where my heroine Brianna Van Morna is fighting Fomorian demons in Ireland with the sun god Lu." And she thought, "Oh, that's going to be great." And it turned out that the action of that, I animated that cover with Kling AI, and she's shooting balefire out the tips of her long blades, and it's just stunning. It's fabulous. And then when she got to the second book, this one, which is Stone of Destiny, she came up with this echo of Brianna like leaving her body, and you can see that. She came up with that all on her own, right? She said the first scene you gave me is too much like the other scene, and it was another Fomorian battle between the gods. And she said, but I got some idea for the ending. This is at the end of the book, and she said, "Let me just work on this." And then she came up with this that's just absolutely stunning. And then the funny thing about the third book, I get to add a little tale. This is they're fighting against Rome, Romans trying to invade Britannia, which is Britain at the time. But this like blonde haired girl, like right down here in the bottom corner, that's my granddaughter, Charlotte. We call her Lottie. Anyways, in the book. And then I do have a cover. No, it's not like the cover is done. The scene I'm about to write, but this is for Warriors of Destiny. And the two girls who are not obviously Brianna are my other two granddaughters, Izzy and Livy. So they're
Yeah.
8, 6, and 4, and it's just a lot of fun. They get to say, "I'm on the cover of a book." So,
That is
anyways,
very nice.
yeah. So
Yeah.
I will.
Anyways, that's
That
sorry.
might have raised some questions for you about covers and finding.
Yeah. I also curious as what when did you realize you wanted to become a writer? You
Uh,
mentioned you had a period and that before you
oh yeah, so
but you were
yeah,
working.
so back in I got my creative writing degree in '86. I wrote
Yeah.
a failed novel about Atlantis, and I didn't even want to do anything with it. Um, and I read because I had read Lord of the Rings, and I thought it was like long winded and really, really long winded, and
Like a lot of people who read it for the first time, yeah.
yeah. And anyway, so I thought I could do better, and then for this book, I had, frankly, this may sound weird, but I do it pretty regularly. I had a dream of white-haired warriors fighting red-headed warriors in a stream, and I was like, it's all lush and green, and I was like, what is that about? And then um, Stone of Destiny was the name of the first book that was, and then the second book I didn't know have a name for yet. Um, and then by the time I retired, I figured out that that all that writing I did back then, I wasn't very good, so I had to do a better job, and I had to get an editor, and so now I feel like I'm happy with it. I want
Well,
readers
and
to
and here
pick it
I
up.
am having written a story. The Boyhood of Cade starts about 10,000 years after the elves left Tir na Nog.
Ah,
Name that.
yeah, I actually had a reviewer claim that I spelled fairy wrong, and this is 5th century Ireland, right?
Yeah.
So I spell it Fairie, fairy,
Yeah.
not fairy, not FAE,
Yeah.
right? Not the
Yes.
fae. There were no fae.
Mm.
When did the fae get created? 1500s. I'm in the 5th century. Sorry. No, it's just too easy. I was like, well, I mean, I'm not going to use fairy because fairy didn't exist in the 5th century.
The word didn't exist, but there was one that did exist, and that was, well, two words that did exist. The Fearbog, that did exist, and Alshi, that did exist. The Alshi
Yeah, yeah,
people.
yeah, yeah. The banshee. Yeah, there was another one.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
all those tales
The
of the 5th century.
Banshee, yeah, but the Banshee are the wailing widows of the
Yes,
Alshi.
yes, yes. There you
They're
go.
not ghosts.
No, no, I
They're
know.
the wailing widows. Yeah, I
Yes,
know that. But most
yes.
people out there look up Banshee and they're told it's a ghost.
No, no, no. They're now they're all from Ćroí, but that's another story now. They just
Yeah.
happen to be able to cross
Again,
over.
yeah. There's the land of okay. There's four lands. There's the land of the people. There's the
Yeah.
land of promise. There's the land under the sea, and there's the land of the dead.
Okay.
Now, if you go to ancient Greece, they also referred to originally referred to Ireland as the land of the giants. But if you look at when that reference was made, that was pre-Celtic.
Yes.
So
Yes.
they knew. So the film that gives us a historical reference to between 9,000 and 15,000 BC of classical Greece that there were giants in Ireland.
There you go. Yeah.
And by
I
giants,
kind
they
of
mean but the word giant in Greek means 6 foot or over. So doesn't mean
yeah,
that
yeah. It's not
technically
giant. Yes, I
that
know.
giants, yeah.
Yeah,
So
that's cute.
it's the same. People mistake like the land. People say, "Oh, these Irish people must be crazy. They claim to be descended from the elves." It's not crazy. The Alshia are documented people.
Yeah. I mean, they're all too often. and then the Tuatha and the Furbolg, and then the sons of
I'm
Bill.
just saying, the predominant tribe of Ireland was known as the Ćroí. The predominant Elvish tribe. The predominant Elvish tribe was known as Ćroí. And I'm saying they're actually a documented people, but the majority of our archaeologists still refuse the historical study because they don't have a body to examine. Yeah. That's because elves are just humans and how many ancient humans survived or bodies we have. We don't even have 1%. We don't even have less than 1% of 1%.
Yes, I know. It's crazy. So I start my series in 5th century.
Yeah.
And I bring in pre-Viking Celtic, pre-Viking Norse raiders.
Yeah.
And then the Tuatha gods react. And Danu sees a foretelling that one of both bloods will be able to repel the Norsemen, but he or she has to be born of both bloods, and so she is Brianna Van Morna, and she fights for the Gaels even though she's half Norse. So I sort of set up this whole conflict between the Norse, who are raiders turned settlers, and they want to get them the hell out of their island. And then I'd use magical artifacts from legends, and like the Sword of Light, but then again I also create some. So like the Blades of Destiny is purely all mine. Stone of Destiny, however, is not. I mean, Stone of Destiny is, partly, it's the thing that cries the name of the king, the true king, right? But to the gods, it's really the cycle of time. It's the magical artifact that governs the ability to see forward and backwards in time. And then Heart of Destiny is also created by me. And that's a non-corporeal goddess cast into a heart-shaped ruby, and so she can only communicate through her hero, which is so Brianna becomes Aaron's hero, and then she has to go execute on this quest, and then execute on casting a vision that does not have her father in it, to get rid of the Norsemen.
Yeah.
Yes, and that causes that's a time thing. So the third book starts with time travel because she becomes the goddess of time. So.
Yes, because I was going to ask how you deal with gods, because studying the Celtic gods, because as part of my preparation, I actually read a lot of the Irish, like, the word Alfred. It's not a name. It was actually a title in Ireland for friend of elf.
Yeah. So I did a lot of research. I wanted the gods to be, if you think about the influence of Christianity on the early writings of everything that were, they made, for example, they made Dagda look like a buffoon. Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
So, I wasn't going to go down the road of how they portrayed the Irish gods, the Tuatha. I started took my own take on it was, they're magical people, and they're flawed, and they're not magic, solely magical to the point where they don't have their own crazy and flaws that are going on. And they do,
because
people.
When you look at the legends, you'll soon probably figure out that they had a dual nature. There was the corporeal gods, and they were made of men, and the incorporeal gods, who were made of those that came before.
Yes. Well, so And so in my magic system, I know
Yeah,
remember it's Brandon Sanderson has this whole thing is about like what are the
yeah,
different magic system, what you got to define it. And so
yes.
the strength of a god's power
It's
comes
the following.
from the like how far down are you from the source. And
Yeah,
Danu is the first goddess, and then
yeah,
probably Dagda, Dagda, however you want to say it, Babakatha, um,
yeah. The first ones.
and those three are the
Yeah,
original ones. Lou's in there, but he's like he was brought on by Danu later. So is he first generation? No, he's second generation. So I go through this whole
yeah.
generation thing where
And
some of them are
Tulatha, yeah, Tulatha was born of the light and
yes,
stepped forth in
Didana,
corporeal form,
yes, right,
and she then gave birth of her own will, and therefore you have the second and third generation born of gods, born corporeal. But
right,
in the later stories, they're no longer corporeal. So there
yeah.
is a dual nature of gods. And that is what I'm saying. Did you find that in the research? Because a
Uh,
lot
I,
of people, they pick
I
up the
did, but
first,
I
they,
think it's
yeah,
too mm, sort of nebulous um,
yeah,
to try. Uh, I don't know. I kind of wanted to make them
fix, yeah,
more like they're real people, and so
yeah.
they all live in
Well,
Ternog, but
that's what I'm
when
saying.
they interact,
One
they can
book will
come.
point, yeah, that's what I'm saying. One book will point them out as born, right? That she gave birth to a
Right.
group of gods, and but later, and this might be why you didn't come across it, is some of the later writing said, well, they're no longer amongst us, but their influence still is through the druids and through nature, and so later the Celtic tribes must have had a concept for incorporeal gods.
Yes. No, yes, I do. I would agree. And
Yeah,
the real question is like what
but they
happens
didn't
if
have a word for it. Yeah,
yeah. So it's kind of like if a human ended up in Tiranob
yeah,
and they didn't leave for a while, time is different there, and you come back and
yes,
you the dust. That's one of the fairy tales, right? The guy who
yes,
fell in love with someone but they had to go see his home, and he set foot on the land and he turned to dust
yeah.
because he was old. Um, uh,
And then you get to the Rainbow Bridge, although the Rainbow Bridge also comes from Norse, so you've got to be careful.
yeah,
Is that an external influence, or was that an explanation the Norse came up with for how you get there? Because the Norse did start to adopt some of the Celtic
yeah.
during the
It was a mix
occupation
up,
of
and I
yeah,
do have this clash
yeah.
between the pantheons, right?
Because the
Because
Norse started to adopt external sources, particularly from the Celts.
yeah, so the way I play it is that
Yeah,
the Celts have a pantheon, the Gaels have a
yeah,
pantheon, and the Norse
yeah,
have a pantheon, and
yes.
this is again kind of the magic system. A god's
But
power
in your time, it
comes.
would have been, yeah. And in your time, they weren't mixed because the people hadn't mixed. You know what I mean? You
Yeah.
still had that separation.
So
Where-
the the god's power comes from those who worship them, right? And
Yes,
so the so um, Thor is on sort of a jihad to make
yeah,
sure that Britannia or Britain becomes Britain. All those Celtic tribes, they want to invade and turn them into um, Asgardian worshippers.
vassals. Yeah, yeah, vassals.
And
Yeah,
Brianna doesn't want to have anything to do with that because
yeah,
they're Gale. Those are her Gales, and so
yes,
there's a fight between Brianna and Thor. They're yeah, in undertone.
Yeah.
So I have like this undertone thing going between the gods, while the
Mm.
main characters are playing out their roles of the storyline.
Very fascinating, because I only touched on the gods' war as the elves, once servants of the gods, rebelled, and they used some of their own gods and dragons to wipe out the other gods. But now, 10,000 years later, they're finding out that they only put them to sleep.
Yeah. Um, yeah, I have to figure out at the end of book 5, which is
Yeah,
titled Immortals of Destiny. So it's
yeah.
Blaze, Stone, Heart of Destiny, then Warriors of Destiny. They go off and finish the thing about Rome won't ever conquer Britain as it
Hmm.
is today, and Britain will never rise. It will never rise as a kingdom that crushes the world, or tries to crush the world. Um, uh, Brianna put a stop to the whole, we're all for the Gales and the Celts. We protect our own. We recognize the right of other nations to exist, but we're not going to go about conquering the world. We're going to protect the world. So she's kind of like, uh, she's a woman's rights lady, whatever, Um,
Hmm.
in Immortals of Destiny, what we have to deal with is, um, and this is around the 15th century. She sees enough in time, forward in time, that there's no taming men, um, and her children now have her ability to walk through time with mortals. Now, gods could always walk through time, forward, backward, wherever, um, but they couldn't do it with mortals. And she can take mortals with her, and so she gets like advanced weapons and brings them back in time. She gets magical weapons, brings them back in time, so she can stop Rome uh, from from winning. But by the time the 15th century or so rolls around, um, she's starting to get kind of weary of, she's been doing this for 1,000 years of fighting for her Gales and making sure that shit doesn't go wrong in the new timeline. Um, and there's some rules on the timeline, what she can change and what she can't change. And once she sets a stream in motion, only she can't do anything other than work within that stream, because like if someone dies and you bring them back to life, you splinter the stream. That's the way Babakatha. She's the all-knowing one about what's going on with time. Um, so, anyways, it's been a lot of fun going through this evolution of warrior to hero to savior to being pulled into a new timeline, and being created as a Tuatha god because of the magic that she wielded. Anyway, so that's been a lot of fun. Creating the storyline and the arc and the characters, and um, you know, it's uh, when you sort of like come back to life and you remember that you had another life, and then you
Hmm.
learn that all of a sudden you're not just a warrior, you're not just a hero, you're a goddess. It's like,
Yeah.
what do you do with that? I mean, how does a human like deal with that? Especially someone who's going to change time and could even really screw things up or whatever. But you know, you see
Yeah.
billions die. Will they die anyways? Will they not die if you do the right thing? It's do the wrong thing,
And then, of course, you got the question: the one you know versus the ones you don't.
right? So the
Right?
whole time
Because
I've been enjoying that.
yeah,
That bit, because it was
yeah,
obviously doesn't start until Heart of Destiny. But anyways,
can tell you perk right up talking about it. I
yeah,
can tell you had
it's
a great
it's
time.
definitely a lot of fun. Um, and I
Obviously, you
think
did
my
a lot of
favorite thing
prep.
is characters.
So you
You
did
know,
a lot of prep work, obviously. You've read the legends, which most people don't do. I mean, congratulations for doing that. Most people don't read the legends. They pick up a fairy tale book. Folks, those
no,
are written
no,
way
no.
after. And they were written by people of the time the book was published, not people of the time these events
That's
occurred.
correct.
The
Yeah,
Tales of Fionn were written in the time of Fionn. Now, Fionn
right.
is actually Fey one, right?
Yeah,
It's a over time the name has changed meaning. Fey one. Okay, so Fionn had at least one parent who was our she,
yeah. There you go.
and Fionn was the great. And for those who don't know, Fionn was the greatest Celtic warrior who allegedly lived. Because some people say no, the stories are too long. It has to be a epic, a fairy tale. But I think
Right.
it is the history. I just think a lot of people just can't accept that
Yeah,
the
it's fun. Anyway, so but you can see my shield
yeah
crest
yeah
behind
your
me.
poster yeah you
So
got your crest behind
that's
you.
the Stone
So
of
what
Destiny,
else?
and the
What
Blades of Destiny, and the Arc of Destiny, with the Sword of Light
yeah
and the Oberos.
the sort of light yeah
Yeah,
who there isn't
Sword of Light
yeah
is
I got
Luz.
the sword. Yeah, it is the sword. It is the Celtic sword. It's the sword of heroes. It's was wielded by Fern. It was allegedly to be Excalibur. There's a lot of legends behind the sword of light.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh, I did something really fun.
Yeah.
So Brianna's got to figure out how can she get 22 Celtic tribes to stop warring against each other and realize that Rome is the real threat. And she
Yeah.
goes, well, like, is there's like I united by becoming everyone's hero. I united Ireland. There's
Mm.
got to be somebody who united Britain. Who united Britain?
Yeah.
And so
I forget her
she's
name, but yeah, it
yeah,
was
no,
a
no, no. So the who united Britain
yeah,
when it was Britain, not when it was Britannia.
yeah,
There was
yes,
Boudicca. She tried to stand up against the Romans, eventually died.
yes,
That was in the first century. But
yeah,
in the fifth century, she discovers that um, um, her seeress from Cymru, who she's recruited, her father, the seeress's father, is Mirrodin, and so he's been trying to find someone for Excalibur,
mm.
and that's Arthur. And so what Brianna does is she finds him in time, no pun intended, and takes him back into the first century BC to
yes,
help her unite the tribes.
yeah.
And then he doesn't fall in love with Guinevere; he falls in love with Boudicca. So, anyways, it's kind of fun.
It does sound
Amazing
like
what you
fun.
can do with
Because a lot
time,
of
right?
people don't realize the original Spear of Destiny legend came from Celtic. There were Fionn had a sword, which became the Sword of Light. He had a spear,
Right?
which became the Spear of Destiny. And for a while, he had a shield, but he later discarded that, and he allegedly also had the legendary dagger. I mean, there's a lot. There's a lot
Yeah, I'm
in
trying to remember. I
Celtic
read
legend that has been
a
spread.
book based in Cymru around I want to say seventh century, eighth century. I'm trying to remember the name of it. Um, um, but they have the author brings up the Sword of Light, and it has to go back to
Yeah,
Ireland, where it belongs. And
yeah,
anyways, so that was an interesting tale. But so it was a lot of fun by just
yeah.
disturbing the Arthurian legend.
Now we touched on it that your previous inspiration was a dream.
Yes.
That did your Celtic ancestry play a part in that,
Well,
or something you
yes.
read?
yeah, so I'm a quarter Scot, from my father's mother's side. The
Yeah,
Fergusons landed in the, let's call it the mid 1600s in New York.
yeah,
Um, and they went on their merry way in New York for 100 years or so. And then the
yeah.
Revolutionary or the Civil War came about, and the clan split. And Ferguson is, by the way, the clan that is the original Irish clan that left um, Northern Ireland to form Dalrida. So it was King Fergus.
Yeah,
That was
Fergus.
also
Yeah,
in the 5th century, roughly. Um, anyway, so my clan split over the Loyalists and the Patriots, um,
yeah,
New York, and then to go forward into the Civil War. Um, if you fought for the North and you survived, you got a homestead. And so my grandmother's father fought in the Civil War, got the homestead, um, and it was a homestead or two away from a French Canadian who did the same thing, and he got a homestead, and then a Ferguson and a Raquepau got married, and that's how I became. My grandmother was all
Iraq
Scottish.
War. Yeah.
And maybe I'm half Scot, quarter Scot, something, I don't know. Anyways, and
If
so
it's
that's
grandparents, I think it's cool.
but the funny thing is I love the Irish better. I don't know why, because
Yeah,
the
I
Irish
don't know why.
still, well, they're the source of all the Scottish tales,
Yeah,
if you think about
the
it.
thing is, I am, I am my on my grandmother's side. I've is Dutch German. On my father's side, it is English Scottish. But with the English, they got Irish and Welsh as well. So
Yes,
it's but my family is one family. There's no branch division, right? So if you're Applegate, you are descended all the way from the Applegates of Dundee,
right.
okay, and the Cedar Scone. So and there are several in parts of America. There's
Yeah, the
Applegate.
name
There's
is
Applegate
not
Farm.
unusual.
There's Applegate. There's County. Yeah, well, we were big in America at one point in the
Yeah,
early days. I
yeah,
think
my
after the Civil War, when fortunes after Civil Wars, fortunes faded because they were apple farmers, and at the time, after the Civil War, agriculture didn't was not like the industrial value shot while
right.
farmers were
Yes,
pretty
indeed.
much you can
Yeah,
have 20 acres was nothing yeah,
my wife is Scots Irish, so they came from
yeah,
Scotland to Ireland to
yeah,
they were displaced and to here. So
yeah. But our family also size, you know, as it would, you have all sorts, but so predominantly though there are a few what you would call your classic American heroes,
yeah,
explorers, uh, original farm settlers, first settlers, and stuff like that. But of course, again, after the Civil War, there's not much that happened after because fortunes waned, So,
yeah, yeah.
but there was a lieutenant colonel who was a World War II hero who flew with the Flying Tigers and later became a Air Force Reserve general because that was
There you
still
go.
Army Air Corps. Yeah, yeah.
So
And
let's see what
he
other
passed
questions
away
do we have
recently.
here?
Yeah. Sorry. Yes.
What haven't
Now,
we answered?
sorry, we covered a lot of it, but do you have a favorite author or book, an inspiration?
I really
You
like
mentioned Tolkien before.
Catherine Kurt's Durini series. I don't know if you're reading any of
Hmm.
those, because she does it's a semi historical setting of a different world, but very detailed, as I would call it, medieval. It's medieval Britain in a different setting with magic. I really like that way she did the brought the history to life, if you will. Kind of like
trying to think of the author's. It does sound familiar. It does sound familiar, but the
Yeah,
author's name doesn't ring a bell.
Catherine
Sorry.
Kurtz. Yeah, anyways, I do like David Weber's Honor Harrington series for
Yes,
sci-fi.
that was.
I mean,
I liked.
I like sci-fi.
I like
Right.
that one.
Yeah.
Yes.
Anne McCaffrey and the Dragon Riders of Fern was always a favorite. Brandon Sanderson's Stormlight series. I enjoy those. Mistborn. I think he also did that, right? I think he did that. Who did the ones with the metals? It was a hard science. You basically got magic by consuming metal. So I think it was called Mistborn.
No, I don't remember that. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, anyways, I like that one.
See, I read a lot of Asimov and Clarke. I read the I got bogged down in the iRobot series.
Yeah.
Particularly.
I read those too, but I mean, I liked a little more modern.
Authors. Yeah, there was the Silver Chair. Was it the Silver? No, the Silver Throne. I think.
Yeah, I haven't read that one.
That was yeah. That was very Celtic inspired. Well, you actually mentioned you're working on book 4, so
yes.
We'll skip over to what advice would you give to a new writer?
Definitely focus on when you get to the end of like you think you might be done with your whatever your first book or your first story that you want to publish. And I had a professor who once said, if you write for yourself, you're a writer. But if you write for your readers, you're an author. All right. So if you're writing for your readers, and you have to think about what's the best and keeping the best in mind about your readers, gig an editor. So like, do I have to gig an editor? They're expensive. Yeah, they're damn right they're expensive, but
yeah.
you really got to do it if you want to write really good shit, because they're going to find all the things you do wrong. They just
like
the good
meandering,
finding the guilty. Good ones. Yeah, that's always the trouble. So
yeah, I think my biggest I think my biggest crime is meandering.
Yeah, I was doing something in the original parts of the books where the gods are removed, and I would have the gods come into the scene, and Holly didn't like it. She said it's to just takes you out of the flow of the main characters of the book, and these just they're like airdropping themselves in. Why do you have this scene here? And it's okay if you bring gods to Aaron. That's okay. Just don't have a Tyrannog ethereal exchange between the gods about what they think should be done. Make that part of the mainstream of the story. And it's like, okay. So like I have this on my website, I have a post in my blog of a scene that they cut out, Lou battling with Baylor of the Baleful Isle. Those of you out there, that there is a tale where Lou slays his grandfather, Valor, of the Baleful Eye, because when you opened his eye, it was an evil eye that would wilt armies. Anyways, I had this whole scene where he does that. He kills Valor. And they were like, no, you're going to take that out. I was like, okay. So it's now published on my website, on a blog as, well, here's a tale that my editors didn't like. So anyways, that's always fun.
I have a few, but I didn't keep them. Like in the first
It wasn't a
draft,
bad
when
scene.
the
It just
editor
didn't
put
fit.
Lynn's themes, yeah. No, it wasn't. She said, this isn't bad. It's just too long for this story. You know, like, you know.
But you should save those. You should save those.
Yeah, that's the thing. I didn't, because I didn't have tracking on.
Oh no.
So tracking changes. So when the editor had finished, there were no track changes to the
no. Yeah,
document.
I keep all my stuff on Dropbox so that I can go back to previous revisions. So if I make a change and it's preserved, just saying. So if we covered everything that we should have covered, is this what you expected?
Stress? No, this is better than expected. You got a lot of rich material there, which should incite people to read your book, which is always the best foot forward, right? It's the whole point.
Yeah.
But also, I hope to inspire people, not just myself, you know, that
yes,
because a lot of people out there who are going to read this are going to be creatives looking for inspiration.
Yeah, I did do something a little bit different. I don't know where this came from or why I thought about it, but I had in the second book, in Stone of Destiny, I had a song, and then I realized that I didn't have one in the first book, and it was just lyrics, right? I didn't have a real, and then I thought, well, shit, why can't I hire someone to create the song? And so I hired these two gals, one's from Argentina and one's from Ireland. And so there's a song in the first book, and there's a song in the second book, and then there's a song in the third book. I don't know what I'm going to do about the fourth book, but there will be a song. And we found a composer. And so I've got on Spotify, if you look for Bards of Destiny, you will find the songs in the book, and I'm doing with my composer. I did a soundtrack for the first book, and the first one done in the second book, first track, and I'm about to release the second track. And there's a 5 to 6 tracks per book. So there you go. Yeah. You can listen to music while you read my books.
Yeah. That's very good. I commissioned a lot of art and still commissioning art for my stuff. Actually, I think artwork is, particularly with covers, is a big deal. I think a lot of first-time writers, you see them on X, they got the cover straight from Amazon. The cover straight from Amazon. But there are some genres where covers don't matter, I guess, because they have the same cover over and over again, particularly with the romance novels these days.
Yeah.
So, but I'm talking serious authors. And again, you have a different definition to the one I was told. A writer writes. An author is the source of creation, okay? Because anybody can write. But a lot of people these days are writers because they take
that may be better.
Because they take a plot that has already been written. To be a proper author, you have to be the source.
There you go. I like it. You're right. You're writing for your readers, but to be an author, you've got to have that creative stuff going on.
You have to be the source.
By the way, I do have this creative stuff going on all the time. Like I do dream. I'm serious about that. I had a dream.
I believe you, because I do it too.
Maybe 3 or 4 weeks ago maybe 6 weeks ago, about demons. I was trying to figure out, why did I have this dream about demons and what could I do with it? And so this becomes, this is a pretty funny part in Warriors of Destiny.
Yeah.
So who landed from the one God followers in Ireland in the 5th century? A guy by the name of, who came to be named as Saint Patrick, right? So he dies in the second book, and of course, then the timeline's rewritten by Brianna, and now he's alive again. All right, so they want to like, what I'll say, curtail the spread of the one God religion in Ireland. So they put him on an island, and but it turns out that the Fomorians are still around, even though their god Tetra is dead. And so they take over the monk's soul,
remember,
right? So they take over the monk's souls,
but
and Brianna is called in to help, and so she and Bridget, her sister, who's Dagda's daughter as well, they end up casting out the Fomorian demons.
In Celt, there were the headless horseman is actually a Celtic figure. There's the seahorse, which was at the nightmare with the black horse of
I wasn't that. This is more
another one is Bananoch.
I know.
But there was also the Demon King, Aelor. There's a lot.
Yeah, there is. But here, this is the funny part. So what did I do with the demons I dreamt about? So Brianna and Bridget cast them out, and Saint Patrick decides to declare that Saint Brianna and Saint Bridget have worked miracles. He's gonna like declare to the he's a bishop of the Roman Church, and he's gonna get Brianna and Bridget declared as saints. And Bridget is laughing, and Brianna is pissed off. So she doesn't want the one God thing to expand. That's kind of fun, you know. It's like, what do you do with this when you have a character who's like so anti-Christian? You know, I gotta save my Tuatha goddess and fellow goddess and goddesses, and I want people to have free choice in what they worship. But if we're good gods, they'll worship us. And because you didn't want the one gods all ruled by conquering and all this other stuff, and she's like, no, but then to become Saint Brianna, she's like, no. Anyways, that was fun. So I'm having some fun with the characters.
That is definitely fun with the characters. Now, I know a lot of people say they don't suffer from stress. That's because you have a automatic coping mechanism. A lot of people don't, but a lot of writers do develop coping mechanisms for stress, because stress is one of those things we don't really understand, but it's our driving motivation. Okay, you have stress, which all derives from anxiety. Some have the anxiety to write, some have the anxiety not to write. Which are you? And how you deal with it?
I have zero writer's block. I just stories, just like scenes, just are like running like a movie through my head all the time.
Demon.
Just saying, it's just always there.
Yeah,
but
it's always
if I'm,
that's fantastic.
When I get stressed out about, what I get stressed out about is trying to market this shit that I've written and I think is really good. But all the marketing and all the when you're an indie publisher published, people come out of the woodwork saying they can help you and they can't. So that's when I get all tensed up and I go for a walk. Then I'll come back and now I can write.
I have every day. Sir, your book is amazing. And then you ask them a basic question, and they say, "Oh, I haven't read it yet, but I could market the." If you can't read my book, you can't market my book. That's one of
what I say. And I agree. Yeah. Put a crowbar in your wallet. Mine's like 99 cents for the first book. If you buy an ebook, right? I mean, it's like, it's cheap. Yeah. Buy it, read it. Just saying. I'm with you.
Yeah. There's and 99% of people come out and say, "Oh, but I studied." So you got a community college degree in marketing. Congratulations, you and What were you? Did you actually get a university approach? Because or a business approach? Because a genuine marketer does not
Right.
lowball the market. Okay, they are going for the money. So
Yeah.
either you're a community college graduate or you're a college dropout, and
Yeah.
it's
I'm not.
unfortunate, but there are a lot of scams businesses out there, and
Yeah.
and that's what they do. They get kids out of community college, and they're also encouraged by Fiverr, telling them you can make $1 million.
Yeah.
Marketing my book, maybe. Go
Yeah.
on.
Yeah. Wow.
You know how much to make $1 million marketing a book? Okay, and I'm not knocking J.K. Rowling, but most of her money didn't come from a book. It came from a movie written,
Yep.
and she will never admit that. She'll never admit that, and even Warner Brothers won't admit that they helped write that book. Okay, it's all
Right.
marketing. You know,
It is.
it's like if you're an author, only 1 in 10,000 of you are going to see more than $1,000. That's the reality.
I know.
So
But
I
I'm in it.
don't
I'm in
want
it for
to.
the long haul.
I want people to go wide-eyed into writing. Okay, I don't want to discourage you, but you've got
Right.
to have your wise-eyed open. That for every J.K. Rowling, there's a million people who had people put their hands in your pocket and just leave. She just happened to get a good agent. That's it.
Yeah,
It's the luck of
I had an
that.
agent one
It's
time that
luck.
would rip me off, but I'm not real fond of agents. But maybe I should look
Yeah,
into one.
but you can be your own agent. You can be your own agent
Right.
and be successful. But I'm just saying, you know.
Yeah,
Also, you got to remember when J.K. Rowling published her book, there was only 1.2 million books on Amazon. How many there are now?
yeah, yeah. You got it. So it is it's a hard road, but
Yeah,
I, would- I get a lot of authors who ask me like, "Wow, I love your covers. How did you come up with all that stuff?" And what's the hardest thing about writing? And that's why I like doing these podcasts because
inspiration. Yeah,
it's
it
hopefully
does.
we can
Yeah,
educate some folks
yeah.
out there who are just getting started.
But I just want to knock that naive child and say, approach it writing like an adult. Take your naive child and put them on the page, but when it comes to marketing and editing and all the behind the scenes stuff, you have to be an adult. You have to approach it as if it's not your book, it is your survival. Okay,
Right,
approach it
it's your
as,
marketing.
yeah, you're marketing. Which is why, look, I have somebody for my marketing, but I still get people approached. And I know, and people go, "Oh, you haven't got enough Amazon reviews. I'll sell you reviews." Bro, they will catch you, okay? Amazon are not fools. They eventually go through everybody on
Right.
Fiverr, and they will eventually match you to your book, and they will eventually remove those reviews you bought,
Yeah, yeah.
okay?
So
Even book tasters now. I made the mistake of thinking, oh, book tasters and top reviewers are safe. Nope, they're not. They're not
okay, say they
safe.
can book what?
Book tasters,
Oh,
they're
haven't heard
called
that.
book tasters.
Okay,
They find people to review your book who are willing to review your book.
right,
You're only paying them to find you a reviewer, not paying for reviews.
right.
But unfortunately, sometimes the people who are involved with book tasters are known review
Oh, book chasers.
sellers.
Yeah.
Okay,
Okay.
and they and so Amazon finds out, and it doesn't, and you may not know. You've got
So
to be
there's
careful who.
a couple of new service. Yeah, there's a couple of new services out
Yeah,
where so those are legit because you are buying the book and producing a review. And
you buy the book, you produce, and you provide the review with the book on the onus that you are not asking them to give you a favorable review.
oh yeah,
But if they're
absolutely.
a known review, but I'm warning you, if they're a known review seller,
Right.
Amazon will still remove their review. You've got to make
Yeah, yeah.
sure that they have a
Yeah,
past
don't waste your
that
money on
is
that.
still up. Yeah. Don't put your money until you know what their past
Yeah.
is. Okay. Get them
So,
to
but
show you
there's
past
a
reviews.
number of
Make sure
they're legit. Yeah.
yeah.
So, like I said, there's a number of new sites out that you can
Yeah.
like just Google search. Where do you get
Yeah.
what are good book review sites? Um,
Yeah.
some of them are pretty pricey, like NetGalley. I think
Yeah.
NetGalley's pretty damn pricey. And then there's other
Some of
ones that
them
are
do offer a guarantee. Yeah.
say what?
I said, make sure they give you a guarantee. If your review is removed, you get your money back.
Yeah. But there are some good review sites that operate within the bounds of what
Amazon guidelines. Yeah.
And so use those versus people who will
anybody on X, forget about it.
yeah, or Fiverr.
They're approaching you on X. Or Fiverr. Fiverr is becoming,
and you'll see a lot of it on
as
Instagram.
I said,
there's a lot of sellers on Instagram. I actually have a little few words at the bottom of my sign off in my emails, which is, if you're a seller, do your research before you try to sell me something. Right. So
because a lot of them won't read your book. A lot of them, particularly on X, you'll find, wait a minute, he says at the top, he says Indiana, but his new X post says posted from Pakistan. Thank you, X, for doing that, by the way. You save a lot of trouble, because a lot of people are starting to delete their tweets, by the way, you notice.
Yeah. Well, X is all messed up anyway, so I try to stay clear of that one. There's better ones out there.
Yeah, I noticed you're on Blue Sky now, not X.
Yeah, so I
was originally given you an X account. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm on X as Destiny's Cycles. And I'm on Instagram and Facebook and TikTok. It's
I think, to be fair, I think X will eventually win the microblogging, but I think Facebook will still remain, for at least now, the predominant social media site. But I think X is going to lose to TikTok and other sites on other features. Right. X is taking too long to develop everything, and if you take too long to develop, if you take too long to write a book, okay, it won't reach the right market. The conversation we had before we go, you mentioned writing in the 80s and how every decade writing has changed. So if you're writing in the style of the 90s, right, you get George R. R. Martin, with changing of the point of views. These days, you've got a lot of books are now shorter than they used to be.
The whole series thing.
Epic.
I was going to say the whole series thing. That really started to explode. I would want to say about 10 years ago. And all of a sudden, books got like. I would say that. If I'm doing epic fantasy, I got to be doing like 300 to 450 pages per book. But I see a lot that are just in the 150 to 170 pages. And then the book ends and it's like, go see book 2 and see 3 and see 4. And you'll end up with, 5 or
one
10
epic book. Yeah.
And there's not a lot of substance there. And that's the problem.
Yeah. Yeah. Again, that's because they're a writer who is writing stories.
Are you writing for yourself?
Yeah.
Excuse me.
Or creating for others. Yeah. Well, that's what I said. You've got to be the source of the story to be an author. Okay. But you've got to be creating for others to read. Right. So.
Yeah. Well,
So like that's why they say in the newspaper business you're a writer. You're not writing for the audience. You're writing for the
yeah,
newspaper.
you're writing for the newspaper. That's right. So we covered a lot of ground.
Yeah, and anything you want to say before we go?
Well, I think you'll know how to find me. You'll post that out there, right? And yeah, look me up. I do all my video trailers and animated covers and all that other stuff is on my YouTube channel, which is Destiny Cycle Books. Destiny Cycle Books. And I do shorts of all my soundtrack songs. Everything else is on Spotify and YouTube Music and Apple Music. My books are available like everywhere, even if you want to go down to your local bookstore and order it. It's because the bookstores all buy from some place called Ingram Spark. So it's Ingram Spark, and any bookstore in the nation can, anywhere in the world, Ingram Spark is the primary one, primary distributor of books. So you can go anywhere and order it, but it's print on demand for the paperbacks. It's obviously you can buy instant on ebooks. I do have audiobooks out for the first two. And for Heart of Destiny, the audiobook should be ready in about 2 weeks. I got my audiobook actress is just finished the fourth chapter. So I think she's got two to go. So
right.
So if you like audiobooks, it's an audiobook form.
Yeah.
And that's
all
I can think.
That's great. Right. I think we've given plenty of teaser and background and fairly good reasons to read your books for those who are into epic fantasy with a historical tone. I would say it's a historical tone, not a historical epic.
I call it semi-historical, but yeah. But I will do things like themed. It's Celtic themed, but I do actually research. My heroine had never had eggs except out of a bird's nest, and so she finds out that the wealthy dun that the fort that she's taken refuge in has sicken eggs, and sickens are chickens, and there actually were sickens that came from the Far East that landed in the 5th century in Ireland. So actually, I go all the way down to that kind of level of detail. So just pointing out, yes,
that is amazing. That is amazing, and I encourage more authors to do this because, as I said, a lot of you will read the fairy tale books, and those were written by Danes in the 15th century, although Their Brothers was later. But most of your fairy tales are inaccurate. They're taken from better stories. Cinderella, Pinocchio, they're all taken from better stories. And they're well worth reading, I think, some of the older historical tales. And thank you for coming, James.
Absolutely.
I really appreciate it. And hope you do well. And don't forget to share the video out, folks.
Sure.
The only word of mouth.
I'll get back with you when Warriors of Destiny comes out. That should be out in July of next year, June, something like that.
Very good. Very good. Thank you, everybody. Take care.
It was fun.
Please. Have fun. Bye now.
Bye-bye.